Welcome to LC.
Today we'll be reviewing The Great Gatsby, a drama and romance film directed by Baz Luhrmann in 2013.
So basically the story is viewed in Nick's eyes, and he moves to New York. He moves to West Egg, which is where the new money types live in, and where he meets Jay Gatsby.
Yeah.
Jay Gatsby tries to get close to Nick because he wants to relive the love that was once lost with Daisy, which is Nick's cousin. Now, keep in mind, Nick, although he may be from old money, he lived in the new money neighborhood, which is why he got so close to Jay Gatsby. But Daisy lived on the opposite side of West Egg, and with her husband and her daughter.
Yeah, so I really like the scene when they first introduced Daisy. The curtains are flying everywhere, and Nick is like introducing. He says, "The golden girl, you get a breathless warmth flow from her," and I really like that because honestly, the curtains really gave off that feel. The sunlight gave off that feel, and it was a really beautiful scene overall.
In this film, the protagonist, as you can probably tell from what I said earlier, is Nick. One of his famous quotes that he uses throughout the entire film is, "I'm within, but I'm without." And basically that tells us that although he is part of their group, which is Daisy and Jay, and he knows all of the secrets, even from Tom, he's not a part of them. He just knows of them in some way. The antagonist is Daisy's husband, which makes sense, Tom. So you can get a sense of Tom that he is that stereotypical old money guy who wants to be segregated, who doesn't want to share. And one of his famous quotes is, "Daisy tells me that you are over on West Tank, so you're lying with those social climbing private no money types."
Yeah, that was really interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
So I also really enjoyed the aesthetic of the film. It was very exciting, very colorful, very fancy. I think the costumes, location, and props really embodied the characters. Since Nick is very humble, kind of shy, kind of keeps to himself type guy, and he's kind of suited in a more proper way, kind of formal, and then Jay is fancy ties, expensive cars, and then Tom, it's kind of fancy but like laid back, but you can tell through his personality and his hair, he's very traditional. And then Daisy, I love her for her sequin dresses, and she's like a perfect character. She really embodied that character. Location is on point. I love New York City. I really love like the lights in the 1920s. It looked awesome, and I really liked that. It was really cool.
Yeah. The framing work was amazing.
Yeah.
They did a really good job.
Really awesome.
They portrayed so many emotions and feelings just by the frame they chose. One of my favorite framing works were when Nick and Tom are in a party in New York City, specifically the party of Tom's mistress, Myrtle. And it shows an extreme close-up to Nick's face, and it just wides out to the New York City, all the lights. It just, it creates that sense of like there is so much more out there than just
the Midwest
that
we came from. Really awesome. I kind of felt the same way when I went to New York. The first time I went, I was like, whoa, there's so many different types of people.
Yeah.
Also, very on point, very nice. The weather, I noticed that the weather kind of predicted the mood, the tone, kind of foreshadowing, because when Nick tried to get Daisy and Jay together, when they first meet, it's kind of awkward. It's raining outside, very dreary. But when they start to talk and get to know each other, the sun comes out, he opens the door, you see the beautiful sunlight casting on Daisy's house, and it's really nice. It was really nice. I really like that. Editing
in this film was also really well done. Again, in that party scene in New York City with Tom and Nick, Nick is talking, and what he's saying and what he's thinking is written on the screen in cursive, but it's like huge letters, and I think it's supposed to foreshadow how like intense his thoughts are.
He's also a writer, so
Yeah, so I mean, it went well with the characters' interest. Film was absolutely amazing.
Yes.
I might be biased just because I'm a Lana Del Rey fan.
Yes.
But on it, this song, "Young and Beautiful," it just explains the story itself of Jay Gatsby
That's so
and Daisy.
interesting,
Yeah, it's just so well done. They used it in quite a few times in the film, but a very interesting one is when they do the "Young and Beautiful" but in a jazz version.
Yeah.
And so it's they also have Jay-Z, which was a bit weird just because you don't usually see them both together.
Yeah, I think it was kind of interesting that they used Jay-Z in like kind of remixes, very modern songs, Beyonce, and I feel like they used it purposely. Most people saw that as kind of like a strange idea, a strange part of it, but I felt that like in the 1920s, jazz was becoming a new art, a new form, and people, specifically white people, didn't see it as an art. And so when they use rap, which is a culture of African Americans as well, and was created in the Bronx of New York, it really shows a contrast in kind of the art, what was art in the 1920s and comparing it to now. And I really like that they used Jay-Z, matter of fact, because of that fact. I think that was really interesting.
How do you think they use jazz for sound effects?
This one scene was really great. Like in the party where Nick was at Myrtle's party, the jazz was kind of foreshadowing, like playing the tones, the rhythm of the party, and like something really exciting was happening. It was like a really good note, like a really bright, loud, awesome note. It was really cool.
Yeah, it really.
I think it kind of like showed the different races, because there are African Americans outside jazz, the girl is watching him, and then inside like the people, specifically white people, dancing, and it was very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, also this film had CGI. I mean, it wasn't the CGI you see in Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, but it was definitely there, and it was, I think it was well done based on like what they were trying to show. So it's Nick, he's in a therapy session, and he talks about Jay Gatsby growing up. When it starts, it's Nick's face, and it fades away with sand, and that's CGI. And from the sand, it shows how this like deserted, rustic, kind of rundown place of where Jay Gatsby lived when he was a child. It goes a few years forward, and I think he's probably 17, 16, I don't know, a young adult, and it shows him walking what it seems to be space. And so, as we know, like, space is like infinity. There's countless, there's just so many things of everything. And I think that was supposed to portray how you can, there's infinity possibilities out there for you to get a better life. And that's what was supposed to show Gatsby. He was growing up, he was looking for that better life.
I also feel like the message of that, specifically that scene, kind of set down the message of the film theme. I think that ever since he was growing up, he always wanted more. He wanted to reach for the stars. He knew that this was not the life for him. Living in poverty, middle of nowhere, very opposite from New York City. And he even saw his parents as not even owning him. Like, he totally just was apart from his parents. He didn't see them as his parents. And I felt like when he moved to New York, he fell in love with Daisy, and he always wanted her to get his attention. Daisy is this very rich girl, comes from old money. She's like this she's golden girl, as Nick calls her. And I feel like Gatsby was very much in love with, kind of obsessed with her. And in the film, you would think that he's obsessed with loving her for lust and just for the loving, but I think that it was more for the status, her status of power, wealth, the people she was around, Tom, just how she acted. He always threw these parties hoping that she would come. And once she did, once he got her attention, he wanted to redo history, but he couldn't. And so I think that, and then in the end, he eventually dies from Myrtle's husband, who was a lower class, which I think this is just like a cycle of life. Like you can never ever achieve the American dream because you're always gonna be more greedy, want the status, reaching for more, but in the end, everyone just dies.
Yeah.
It was a good film though.
It really was. Sadly, some people don't agree with us. They, specifically Matt Solar, he wrote an article, a movie review, and what he said was everything was great. The acting was great. I think a lot of people can give us it was a really well. They chose very well actors to portray all the characters, but he said it was a bit too modern. It was confusing at times. Like it was fantasy. Like there were moments like when they first showed Jay Gatsby's house. Like it looks so like unreal, but it's like it gives this like enchanted kind of feeling, and that was something he didn't agree on. Well, thank you for watching. We will see you guys next time.
Bye.